and lies of religions, sects, swindlers, liars, and cheats, who lie their heads off, hypocritically preaching doctrines of salvation and plans of salvation and giving just as deceitful promises of salvation, which can never be fulfilled. And the earth people fall for this because to them in their falsehood and in their ignorance, in which they eke out their existence and search for a better life and for the real truth, there is a real need for salvation. And the rule is that through the deception of the religions and sects, the people rely on the false story of divine salvation and on the divine plan of salvation. Through this, with unintentional force, they push every responsibility far away from themselves, relying on the message of salvation and, on the redemption, which will never become a reality, by God or by his hosts of angels, by Jesus Christ, by saints, or even by those who are deceased, who shall bring help from the beyond, or by extraterrestrials, as this has been preached and has been maintained for quite some time by irresponsible and exploitative UFO sect gurus, who will support themselves as such in the future, as Sfath explained, by what means all of the chiefs of the sects become very rich, for they financially exploit their followers and believers, as well as those who are enslaved to them and other fools, and through this, they live in joys and glory. The earth people do not run to the truth but to lies and deception, to religions and sects, and they believe everything that they are led to believe and everything that is given to them by the sect bosses and religious bigwigs. With this, I in no way want to attack those religionists, respectively those parishioners, priests, monks, devotees, and other religious representatives, who are devoted to their faith in honesty and who maintain love, peace, freedom, harmony, humanity, and true brotherly love, etc. in the best form. In fact, I know many such people, and their way of life in these forms could not be better. Therefore, I give them all necessary respect and due reverence, even though they are connected to a religious faith. But those whom I attack are all those who cannot be added to these worthy people because they are among the severe or most severe fallible ones who, in their degeneracy, give no honor to the designation of person, having parasite-like, mendacious, swindler-like, and deceitful thoughts, feelings, emotions, and ways of acting, and through these, they deeply and disgustingly alienate and dissociate themselves from the designation of honorable person. Quetzal says, unfortunately, everything is actually so, as you say. And it will still take a very long time before the people of the earth reflect and begin to look for their salvation no longer in the religions and sects but rather in the reality, in that they turn their ears and their minds to the actuality and truth. Many centuries and even millenniums will still pass before the seeds of the truth, which you painstakingly sow, will rise up, germinate, and thrive, for which you will, as a rule, only reap ingratitude, bad words, and criticism, as well as slander and attacks on your life, as this has, so far, already been the case several times. Nevertheless, you must still do your work because the spreading of the seed is of urgent necessity. First, there will only be few who will cultivate the seeds that are sown and who will allow fruits to thrive from this, but these will gradually multiply themselves and spread all over the world. Everything will be very laborious, however, because the truth isn't wanted to be heard or recognized, rather, only a message of salvation and an alleged salvation bringing of a religious and sectarian form are demanded to be heard and are expected, as you have expressed this clearly. Very many people of the earth think and hope in this way because they are not acquainted with the truth and are not taught this, rather, they are deceived and cheated by the false religions and false representatives, and by the sectarians and their followers, namely through erroneous teachings, false evoking of hope, and through unrealizable, dishonest, and unreal promises. Through the pretense of false facts, the people are made into believers, enslaved ones, and fanatics who, without hesitation and without any scruple, don't even shy away from murder in the name and belief of their religion or sect, as well as in accordance with the instructions of the religious leaders and sect leaders, and from brutally massacring their fellow people in order still to desecrate them and rob them later. You correctly cite with your words that there are, of course, also respectable, proper, and dignified people among the religionists, but unfortunately, these correspond to a very small minority. Billy says that is right, and thus, it must simply be said clearly and plainly. But now, we should have talked enough about this. There are still some other questions that I would like to ask if your time still allows you to answer these for me. Quetzal says just ask. Billy says good, thank you. As you also know, the custom prevails among the earth people, at least among many, that deodorants are used against perspiration. But to my knowledge, there is the risk of the elimination of immunity against bacteria and fungus, etc. At least, that's what I can remember, which Svarth explained to me. He also taught me that through the reduction of perspiration, wrong smells arise, by what means the partners of the opposite sex, both the female as well as the male, become misled, for the male partner or the female partner cannot be in his or her right smell, respectively right scent, right aroma, or right fragrance. This means that through the use of sweat-absorbing means, even deodorants and so on, and through an artificial smell, respectively scent, what can no longer be perceived of the relevant person's own scent becomes distorted and obscured. Then, if the artificial means against the development of sweat are no longer applied, then the natural scent penetrates through again, which does not appeal to the male partner or to the female partner, which can then lead to conflict and to the breakup of the relationship and connection, and indeed, this also happens in many cases. Moreover, the scent of the sweat of females and males is also decisive for sexual stimulation, which naturally becomes disturbed and falsified by the use of sweat-stopping means. Thus, a male partner and a female partner can have thriving sexual relations and joys as long as deodorants and other sweat-stopping means are applied, but if a discontinuance of the same occurs, then aversion or even disgust mutually arises among both people. But that isn't enough, for as I already said, the immune system is also impaired by the use of sweat-stopping means, etc., in the form that fungus and eczema develop, and bacteria begins a health-destructive work and can carry this out. The question now is whether you can tell me something more about this. Quetzal says by and large, you said what is necessary, but I can still explain the following. The sweat of the person is a very necessary product of the body, through which this is protected against infections. There is a very specific substance that is contained in the sweat which I may not mention officially, however, due to our directives, for this will be a serious intervention in the earthly medical development, and this protects the skin from bacteria being able to settle and form on it, along with eczema, fungus, inflammations, and infections. This defense substance produced by the body's sweat practically forms the body's own antimicrobial antibiotics, which have huge effects and even prevent inflammations and skin infections, etc. through deodorants and other sweat-stopping means, as you call them. The sweat also develops a very strong protection against antibiotics, and these are equally destroyed by too frequent washings. Just for this reason alone, a simple body wash should be carried out each day, and only with clear water, without the use of chemical cleaning agents. Such should only find use if work operations or other very dirty operations require it. Under normal conditions, so with activity that doesn't accumulate a lot of dirt, neither a shower nor a bath should be taken every day, for such destroys the antimicrobial protection of the sweat, by what means health damages can appear. Frequent colds and attacks of the flu, as well as many other symptoms, often trace back to the fact that too much showering or bathing took place and, in addition, that chemical hair cleaners and body cleaners were used. If very dirty work isn't required, then at most, one full bath or one full body shower each week should be sufficient for the maintenance of hygiene and health. Billy says unfortunately, with the irrationality and erroneous views of the earth people, that will be met with deaf ears and with a horrendous desire to know better. Quetzal says that will probably be the case. Unfortunately, the fact of the need for sweat education, in the form discussed by us, is not yet known by terrestrial medical science, For up to now, only inadequate assumptions exist.